Hello, everyone. Hi, everyone. My name is Behdad Barami. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Edgecom Energy. Unfortunately, our typical weatherman, Mr. Chris Brady, has lost his voice today, so he's not going to be able to join us and do the live Friday forecast. So you're stuck with me. It's been a really, really good summer so far for peak events. Typically at Edgecom Energy, we do a lot of work and a lot of development on our machine learning models to be able to accurately predict these peaks. We have a variety of weather data sources that we put into the models. We've been improving these models every year so that they can understand storms, they understand rain events, they understand how others are curtailing in the province. And we build all that into the model with one goal: to reduce the number of peak events and to accurately hit all 5 of the peaks. And I'm happy to report that this year has been some of the best performance that we've been able to achieve in the history of the company so far. So we're kind of halfway through the summer season right now, a little less than halfway through the summer season. And the performance this year has really been better than what we've had in the past. So don't want to keep tooting our own horn here. I want to talk about the events that have been called so far and sort of what we project to look at over the forecast for the next week or so. So the remnants of Hurricane Beryl from Texas are making their way throughout North America, and they're going to get into the Ontario region late Sunday night. So what we're going to have is some heat that has been coming up from the Gulf of Mexico into the Ontario region, southern Ontario region. And Monday, July 15th and Tuesday, July 16th, we're going to have 2 very muggy days with a projected peak of 22,490 and 22,130 respectively on Monday and Tuesday. So not this weekend is going to be okay, but Monday and Tuesday, we're going to have 2 very high chance of peak days. After these peak days are called, we're going to be at a total of 8 calls for this year. And right now, as of right now, before the next 2, which are going to be Monday and Tuesday, right now we're at 6 calls total with all 5 peaks being curtailed correctly for our clients. So Monday and Tuesday next week, we're going to have really high chance of peaks. These are probably going to be somewhere in the range of peak number 3 and peak number 4. After that, we're going to have a pretty quiet week for the rest of the week and into the weekend. And then the week after, Monday, July 22nd, our model is calling a medium chance of a peak day as well. That's projected to be 21,982. So that's forecast to be either peak number 5 or maybe number 6. So it might fall out of the top 5. So be mindful for next week, Monday and Tuesday. Again, very high chance of peaks. And this is primarily driven by the heat, as you are all aware, but a big part of it is also the solar forecast and the curtailment action by others. So when we look at the game theory modeling of how much are others curtailing, how much are the other DERs curtailing, and how much are the other battery and generator behind the meter systems curtailing, that really impacts what's going to happen next week as well. So again, Monday and Tuesday next week, be on the lookout. Now, what I want to do is I want to do a little bit of an overview of what we've called so far this season and sort of where we're looking at in terms of the top 5 peaks. So we've called a total of 6 curtailment events total this season, and we've hit all 5 of the top 5 peaks. In years past, the model was designed in a way to hit the top 3 or to hit the top 2 with an expectation that there's going to be more events coming on down the pipe. But because of the uncertainty and because of the flattening of the load profile, we've decided to change the model so that it doesn't actually try to hit the top 3. It's consistently trying to have the top 5 covered throughout the season because there's so much unpredictability in the forecast and in the peak events. Now, we want to make sure that at every point we're covering as many of the top 5 as we can. And we're lucky to report that right now with 6 total calls, we do have all 5 of them covered. This year, we also brought out the 2-hour model. So we've done a lot of work on the machine learning for the 2-hour model. And I'm also happy to report that with the 2-hour model, which is predominantly designed for batteries, but it could also be used for generators or for very sensitive curtailment loads, with a total of 6 curtailment events, we have covered all 5 of the peaks with the 2-hour model as well. Now, what are we looking at? Looking into August and September. So it's been, we had a unreasonably high events for peaks in June, which used up some of the calls. And that has kind of changed the expectation of what we're going to see in August and September. So we are projecting lower number of calls in August than we typically call. And slightly higher in September as we get closer to the end of the season. So most of the peak events, we expect that they will have fallen in the July timeframe. Right now we're in July 12th. There's still about 2 weeks, two weeks left for the rest of July, and we're projecting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more potential calls in July. Probably 2 of those are going to drop out, so we're going to be at 3 more calls in July. So we're going to be heading into August with a total number of calls which will be 6 up until now and 9 by the end of July. So we'll be going into August with 9 total calls, and we're going to try to keep the number of calls in August and September in the region of 4 or 5 calls, depending on where those tolerances fall and sort of how the models behave. But I think this season we're very well placed to come out of it with a total number of 10 to 14 total curtailment calls. And then in terms of the number of hours, so what we've been doing on the model is we've been canceling the curtailment as soon as the model updates and as soon as that chance of a peak goes away. In the past, we were being a little bit more conservative with the time, but now what we're trying to do is really narrow down the number of hours of curtailment that are happening. So the second that the model starts showing a decrease in the demand in the province, that call goes out to make sure that the peak event is getting shortened. So right now, with the 6 calls that we have a total of 25 hours of curtailment, which is very, very good compared to historical performance, and maintaining that risk tolerance to make sure that no peaks are missed. In terms of the weather forecast, again, I think August is going to be below seasonal based on all the models that we're looking at, and September is going to be slightly above seasonal. So keep an eye out for that. As always, keep an eye out on the Friday outlook that goes out. Next week, we'll also be sending a summary report of the performance that we've had so far on these peak events. And thank you for joining us. So very excited to share this information with you. And if you have any questions regarding the peak events or anything that has to do with the ICI program, the demand response program, or managing your peaks or energy costs in Ontario, make sure you reach out to Edgecom Energy. Thanks for joining us on this Friday forecast. And next week, Chris Brady will be back with you.